People should be free. I suppose there are few in this world who would disagree with that statement, but I wonder how many of us really consider what it means. I don't guess a day goes by that I don't hear someone declaring about how they're free of or free to do something. And I guess that's a good thing. Truth is, I never really thought much about it until recently. When you grow up in the land of the free, it's easy to take freedom for granted. But it was just a few years ago that I realized something. I wasn't free. I wasn't free at all. I realized just how much of my life was being dictated by other things. There's the obvious stuff, like the bills that show up in the mailbox. But there are the less obvious things, like having a phone that was once a symbol of freedom, now really feels more like a leash. And it's amazing how quickly we'll buy into something that makes things seem a little easier or makes us feel just a little more secure. Call it dependence or call it addiction, call it whatever you want. I'll be honest. I was pretty happy being led by its hand. But there's just this one thing. You see, dependence is essentially the opposite of freedom. And once you realize that, all the junk you've surrounded yourself with, all that stuff you carry around with you, all that stuff can start feeling like chains. And the life that's grown up around you can really start to resemble a prison. And that is a problem. Well, I began to understand that too many decisions that dictated my life were being made by too many people and too many things that didn't necessarily have our best interest in mind. And it was time to do something about it. But there's this funny thing about freedom. It doesn't come with safety straps. And it sure isn't afraid to make a fool out of you.
Here is the bell. The Dow Jones Industrial Average sitting at 5-year low S&P also added a
You know what, right now, breaking news here, stocks all around the world are tanking because of the prices on Wall Street.
Is the biggest point drop that we've ever seen.
This is such a blow to investors when you're a day trader, whether you're a 401k.
8%. We are now we are in the range of one of the top 10 losses on a percentage basis in the history of traded markets. So
defensive nature of the marketplace.
There must be a dozen roads that led me to this place. Some of them softer than others. Most cause bruising of some sort or another, but mainly of ego. The reality was that I stood at a crossroads, both under my feet and in my life. In my mid-30s, I was a recovering idealist, though still jaded and bruised from a career that had ended badly. To compound the problem, the economic meltdown of 2008 had hit me square in the nose, dragging all the plans and security I had down to the ground. And so I found myself living a story that I didn't want. The same story I've discovered so many others living. You know it. It's the one where everything looks great on the outside, but on the inside, we're directionless and broken. It's a life plagued by commuter traffic, stress headaches, and a car littered with fast food wrappers. Like so many, I had spent too much time putting hope in the false gods of career and image. Stressed out and overextended, I had to make a choice. Keep walking the same road or try a different path. One of my own choosing. In a world that's constantly pushing for bigger and faster and complicated and fake, I was looking for smaller, slower, simple, and real.
inside the cabin. My dad happens to have his fifth wheel parked right there beside it. Doubles as deer camp. So I thought I'd give you a quick tour of the place since people seem to see a lot of pictures of it. Walk inside. Alright, so we are officially inside the cabin. Just want to try to zoom in here a little bit. You have to pardon the mess, but this place is still a construction site, so I'm not going to apologize too much. So the door, solid oak door. I built it. It's made out of compressed 2x6, or 2x6 has been smashed and glued together. I had my buddy Chris, who is really good with the torch and a welder, came up with these hinges for me, so pretty sweet. Anyway, so wood stove, that's how I keep warm. Wood box, there's actually a door on the back side of that, so I can actually load that thing from the outside so as not to attract a bunch of junk inside. So here we go. So this would be the living room. Still have my construction lights up. That's a barn tin that I've put up. And there's my other stove, which doubles as the kitchen. God bless Coleman. That's all I can say. Alright, so moving on. This is going to be the kitchen. Right now I just finished doing a lot of stuff to the wall. That's going to be double stoves. All kinds of goodness here. This will be the lady. Be knocking out her greatness. But she does a whole lot of cooking, so we went ahead and did a commercial sink because, let's be honest, you know, if you're skinning a deer or dealing with wildlife like that, a big sink comes in really handy. But like I said, this is a doubling as a workshop, so all my tools are here and scattered around and whatnot. Lawn chairs. Thoreau once said that he has one chair for sitting, 2 for company, and 3 for society. So I've got little folding lawn chairs all over the place, so I'm ready for a party, I suppose. Come on back. It's going to be just sort of a catch-all room, but for now it's kind of doubling as the kitchen. That old door was actually the front door to my grandparents' old house. We salvaged when it went through a remodel. Ceiling fans. One thing I can say, whenever you're going to build a house, if you're going to do anything, put as many ceiling fans in as possible, because you cannot go wrong with those things. Just buy good ones. And this will be the bathroom. Lots of barn tin. And this is an old clawfoot tub I picked up at a junk shop for $100 and reconditioned. Looks pretty good. End result. Still have to hook that up. Turns out I'm actually going to spend more money on the faucet for the thing than I did the tub itself. Come on through. So all of the timbers, for people often ask, these logs are actually 12 inches thick or tall, and then 6 inches thick. So 6 by 12s. And there's about a 3-4 inch gap in between each of them. The way I did that was I took styrofoam and liquid nailed it in the gap so it would be airtight, and then came back over it, popped some holes in it, kind of like a brick would have, and then came back over the top of it with mortar. And it seems to have done a pretty good job. We had to do some leveling to this thing because this did some pretty considerable settling, and we had a little bit of mortar crack when we re-leveled it, as you can see right there. But other than that, it stayed airtight. I don't have any problems with cracking. It's doing well. Come on upstairs. Some heavy, super heavy duty stairs. Again, bedroom is not finished, but got some massive windows, wood ceiling with exposed beams. And every bit of this I have, except for the plywood, every board you see, I started with a tree. So, and just about every one of them salvage lumber. So that's the bed I grew up on. That's a quilt that a good friend of ours made for us. So love it. And just so you can all be jealous, there's the view out my back window. And yeah, so I'll get to that. There's the view out my front window. There's my smoker, some firewood, and the Ouachita National Forest, which is, you know, about 8 million acres. So I don't exactly have to deal with neighbor problems. So the soundboard, the microphone, and the Mac. I've always walked this really weird line of being into technology and also being sort of a back to the nature kind of guy. And so I used to joke that I was the guy who'd go on eBay to buy 18th century woodworking tools. And that's true, I do. All comes in handy. I think it helps keep balance. So I can't complain with that, and that's how I make these videos anyway. And it's kind of how I make my living on the side. So one of these days that'll be trimmed out. Put some nice cool little barn style lamps on the side of those windows. Still have to finish my closets. But this is the tour. Like I said, I started this thing coming June 2013 will mark 4 years since I cut the original trees for this thing. So it's been a long process, and it's been a good process. It's been a learning curve because I didn't really know what I was doing when I started. You know, so like with anything else, you just get started. And I was pretty much broke when I started this thing. 2006 and 7 and going into 8 were great. I was freelancing, making a really good living. Decided to take a plunge because I was out here at the farm a lot. It was going to help, you know, with the cows. So I bought a tractor and I bought a sawmill. And then just about the time I bought all the stuff I needed to buy, the market crashed and all my contracts started crashing right along beside of it. So there came a point when I realized that I had no money left, and it was kind of one of those moments. All right, stop letting other people, the decisions of other people, dictate your life. Because we've got a family farm, it's paid for, we've got a national forest, and if I had a house that was paid for, then there's really not a whole lot that could happen out in the great big world that I couldn't weather somehow or another. And this is how I became, or I am becoming, a cabin person. And I just thought I'd share some of this stuff with you, and hopefully you'll get something out of it. So do this. I'm Billy Reeder, and I'm a cabin person.